Greetings, my name is Chris Anderson. I am the children's editor for Pentecostal Publishing House. God's Word for Life is a discipleship program intended to lead the entire church, from toddlers to adults, into God's presence and His Word for lifelong transformation. The adult, youth, and children's level, as well as the God's Word for Families devotional, all start from the same biblical text, but then have different age-appropriate applications. In this video, I want to run through a typical lesson in the Little Learner level to show you how to better use the curriculum. Now, we say it is for ages 2 and 3, but more importantly, Little Learners is designed for toddlers who have not yet entered preschool. These children show up to church ready to play, so a variety of activities help them play through the lesson. If your students are in preschool, you might consider moving up to the kindergarten level. The Little Learner level is made up of 3 resources. A 96-page leader guide provides the lesson content for leaders and teachers to present in Sunday school, daycare, nursery, or preschool formats. It is available in both print and digital formats. In each lesson, every student will also need an activity page, which I'll go into more detail a little bit later. And then there is a resource kit, formerly called Teacher's Resource Packet, or TRP. The resource kit provides essential supplements to make the lesson come alive. Now, people frequently ask me, do I really need a resource kit? Yes, these lessons are designed with teachers having access to the resource kit materials. If you don't get the resource kit, your teachers will be missing something. Now, when you get your curriculum, one of the first things to do is to go to mygrowthtoolkit.com to download the digital resources that come with your resource kit. Upon purchase, the person who purchased it was emailed a receipt with a link to My Growth Toolkit to access your digital resources. If you try to log in and lack proper access, contact the purchaser of your material first. Then if you still have problems, contact the PPH Customer Service Department at 866-819-7667. Now let's run through a lesson. Each lesson in the Little Learner Leader Guide is 7 pages long. The first page is a title page, which lays out the essential information of the lesson. It shows you the title of the lesson, the Bible text that will be taught during the lesson, and then 2 very important things. The truth about God reveals the essential characteristic of God that is being revealed in the Bible lesson. This truth about God, or TAG for short, will be the theme behind everything you do during a lesson. Every game, every craft, every activity should revolve around telling and retelling the truth about God for the lesson. Then, the life lesson shows the application of the lesson. You want your students leaving your classroom with the life lesson ingrained on their minds. The truth about God and the life lesson are the essential teaching nuggets you're going to focus on throughout your lesson. Then, on the front page is a teacher devotional. Too many times, teachers don't actually read what's in the Bible before teaching the lesson. They think they already know what the Bible story says, so they just go into the class with what they already know, and they plan on winging it. I recommend, before entering into the actual lesson, reading through the Bible with fresh eyes. Read it aloud to yourself, and then prayerfully consider what the passage says about God to you as a teacher, and then ultimately what it will reveal to your students. That is the purpose behind the teacher's devotional on the title page, to prepare the teacher's heart to actually teach the lesson. Then at the top of page 2, we provide a list of supplies, which is self-explanatory. It gives you the supplies. Then the lesson begins. Each Little Learner lesson is broken into 3 sections: prepare the heart, instruct the heart, and connect to the heart. In Prepare the Heart, you are greeting students as they enter into your classroom. You take attendance, collect offering, and then introduce the truth about God. When it is time to begin teaching, video is a great way to get your students' attention. A few video ideas are provided for teachers who want to show videos in their classroom. Now, if you don't wish to use videos in your class, this is only an option. It's a suggestion. It is not an essential part of the lesson, but I do think it's a good idea. Now it is time to introduce the lesson with an opening activity that unpacks the truth about God using the front page of the activity page. This allows the teacher to get students to sit down at a table to focus all of your students on doing the same activity. In addition, another activity or two are provided to allow the teacher to further open up the lesson. As you plan out your lesson, decide which options to do based on the developmental abilities of your students. Now that you've introduced the lesson, it is time for the second section, Instruct the Heart, which tells the actual Bible story. Instruct the Heart starts with a lesson lead-in, which is a short activity or discussion to prepare students to hear the Bible story, which is then told on an age-appropriate level. Before the lesson, you should practice telling and retelling the story over and over so that you can make it exciting and interactive, looking for creative ways to involve your students in the story as you tell it. After you've told the Bible lesson, a few review questions are provided that you can ask to your verbal students to make sure that they learned what you thought that you taught. If you realize that your students may have picked up on something that you didn't mean to teach, maybe you need to retell the story or let them retell it using the props. Next, you will move to the Connect to the Heart section. Now that you've shared with students what the Bible actually says, it is time to have fun and play through the lesson. Now, you want your students to hear and repeat the life lesson. So the back page of the activity pages is always used coming out of the Bible story to reveal the life lesson. Then to further illustrate the life lesson, each lesson provides two similar options that have been tweaked depending on the maturity of your students. As you plan your lesson, you should decide which option to do based on the developmental abilities of your students. Every lesson concludes with the prayer and response section, which provides some simple ideas to pray and do with your students as parents come to pick them up. And lastly, on the 5th page of each lesson, the home connection gives you ideas on ways to connect with the home. Hopefully, you're not going to let your lesson die at the doorstep as students leave. You need to empower parents to team up with you to continue teaching the lesson at home. The home connection shows you ways to communicate with parents, as well as showing which week in the God's Word for Families devotional relates to the lesson that you just taught. So that's the end of the lesson, right? No, wait, there's more. Up to this point, we've only provided the bare basics of the lesson. But in order to learn, little learners need to play, and then play some more. Your goal is to help them play through the lesson by guiding all of their activities with the truth about God and life lesson at the heart of everything they do. On the last 2 pages of each lesson in the Leader Guide, you will find a handful of activities to work into the day's schedule. As students do these activities, repeat the truth about God and life lesson again and again and again. These additional activities include worship, memory work, and game, snack, and craft options. So that's an overview of the little learner level. I encourage you to join our Facebook page, God's Word for Life Kids Community, where you can interact with editors and Sunday school teachers across all levels, getting decorating ideas, posting pictures of your class, and sharing what God is doing in your church. This is also a great place to start if you have questions about the curriculum, which our team will answer personally. Also, if you are interested in decorating your classroom, in the resource kit you will find a digital document called Classroom Decor Ideas. It has an abundance of ideas to get you started. But please note that not all ideas provided are age appropriate for a little learner's classroom. Then on Pinterest, search God's Word for Life to find a page that has a board dedicated to each quarter's suggested themes. If you haven't looked into it yet, a family devotional is available so parents can work with your students at home, continuing the lesson that you taught in your Sunday school classroom. It is called God's Word for Families, and it will be transformational in discipling the families in your church. Look for the video in the same place where you found this video. I believe God is getting us ready for unprecedented revival. I believe this revival will start in the children that are in your classroom. Discipleship is the key, which is why God's Word for Life is so important.